This program is presented by the Associated General Contractors of America.
In construction, things are always changing. What was empty yesterday may be filled with something today. Maybe an area was clear a minute ago, but now someone's behind you, or in front of you, moving across, or up and down. It's like an intersection without traffic signals. Your coworkers' safety and your own are at stake every minute.
As you can see, safely operating a forklift on a job site requires constant awareness and good technique to prevent damage to the load, the forklift, co-workers, and yourself. The fact is, over 37,000 forklift accidents happen in the U.S. each year. And that fact alone tells us that forklifts are not that easy to operate. Like any vehicle, forklifts have their own set of rules for safe operation. So to drive a forklift safely, you need to understand how it works, how to inspect it, and how to operate it. That means getting proper training and following the manufacturer's recommendations, because the more you know, the safer you'll be. And the safer you are, the safer those around you will be. And the more efficiently you'll do your job.
Forklifts are used in a variety of industries, and they come in many shapes and sizes. In construction, the most common types are counterbalance rough terrain forklifts. Counterbalance forklifts are designed for indoor or outdoor use, depending on their size, tires, load capacities, ground clearances, and frame leveling functions. Most trucks on the job site are powered by propane, gasoline, or diesel fuel, and they have front drive wheels as their center of balance. The key to these forklifts is leverage. Imagine a teeter-totter. The front wheels are the pivot point, with the weight of the load on the front side, and a counterweight on the other side for balance.
Three factors influence a forklift's ability to do its job. These are rated capacity, load center, and stability.
Rated capacity is the top weight a forklift can lift. It's listed on the ID plate, load chart, or in the operations manual, and it can change with fork extensions. The rated capacity is usually based on a load center of 24 inches. This varies depending on the size of the forklift. If the load center is too far out, the forklift can't handle as much weight, so never exceed the manufacturer's recommendations.
Stability is the forklift's ability to resist tipping forward or sideways.
To understand stability, imagine a triangle. The forklift is stable when the center of gravity remains inside this triangle. The most stable position is when the center of gravity is here. Add a load or move the boom out, and the center of gravity moves forward. Go around a corner, and the center of gravity shifts to the side. As the center of gravity moves within the stability triangle, it's safer to keep the center closer to the base of the triangle rather than the apex. That's why the forklift is least stable when there is no load and the boom is up and back. That's because the center of gravity is at the apex, so it can move out of the stability triangle more easily. As a forklift operator, it's up to you to gauge the load correctly and keep the center of balance within the stability triangle. You can test a load's weight by lifting it 1 or 2 inches, then stop and see if the forklift feels stable and if the rear wheels are firmly on the ground. If they are, the load should be safe to carry. Keep in mind that as you extend the boom, the weight capacity decreases. To improve stability while driving on uneven ground, rough terrain forklifts are usually equipped with an oscillating rear axle. This allows the back tires to move independently from the front, so the load stays level when traveling over bumps or holes. Some rough terrain forklifts are equipped with frame leveling or tilt, meaning the operator can tilt the chassis to either side. This keeps the forks level on side slopes for better stability. Always operate the frame leveling function when the boom is in its lowest position. Forklifts may also have 3 types of steering. Circle for a tight turning radius. Crab for moving the machine sideways to line up with a load or landing site. and 2 front wheel steering for traveling at higher speeds between job sites. Be sure you are familiar with these features and know how to operate them safely before using them on the job.
That's the basics, and now you may think you're ready to take off. Hold on. First, you have to make sure that the truck is safe to operate. Like any machine, a forklift can have parts wear out from use, so it's important to inspect it regularly.
First, look at the carriage for broken or cracked weld points and obvious damage such as dents. The machine should also be lubricated according to the manufacturer's instructions. Make sure the forks are crack-free. Examine the hydraulics for leaking fluids, loose fittings, or damaged cylinders. Check fluid levels and inspect mounting hardware on the cylinders. Check other fluid levels, oil, coolant, and fuel. If levels are low, fill them. Look at the ground under the forklift for signs of leaks. Look at the tires for excessive wear or splitting of pneumatics. Check the air pressure. Look for nail punctures and cuts, splits, and bulges, and see if the wheel nuts are tight. Check the boom, frame structures, and overhead guard for cracks or damage. Then start the forklift and check all gauges for normal readings. Test the brakes to see that they are in good working order. Cycle the frame leveling function, making sure there is no air in the system, as this can affect stability. Level the machine, raise the forks to eye level, and extend and retract the telescoping boom. Then raise the boom to maximum height and listen for any unusual sounds that could indicate trouble. Finally, check the steering in all 3 modes. Try the horn, lights, and backup alarm. Be sure to return all control levers to a neutral position after you're done inspecting. If your inspection shows parts need to be replaced or the machine needs repair, report the problem to your supervisor and get it fixed before you begin work. And keep all inspection forms and repair records on file.
Now that the forklift is inspected, you're ready to get behind the wheel and get going. Remember, safe forklift operation means following the manufacturer's instructions, staying aware of what's going on around you, and taking your time. This starts with picking up a load.
First, be sure the load is stable and secure. Square up on the load center and approach it straight on. Stop with the fork tips about 1 foot from the load. If you're on a slope, level the machine using frame tilt before you pick up the load. Make sure the level indicator shows a stable position, and check the boom angle indicator and the boom extension guides. Double check that no one is standing near the load and that the forks are level. Then slowly drive forward until the load is resting against the carriage. Lift the load carefully and smoothly and tilt the carriage back slightly. This helps stabilize the load by moving more of the weight over the wheels. Never raise the load while you're moving. It should always be stabilized before you try to go anywhere.
Moving a load brings in a whole new set of safety factors. Remember, you're on a construction site and traveling around people, equipment, scaffolds, electrical wiring, and overhead lines, all of which can be hard to see and difficult to maneuver around. So you have to stay aware and be cautious.
Always travel with the carriage tilted back and with the forks as wide and as low as possible. Be sure to allow enough space to clear uneven surfaces or debris, and never move the machine with the forks above eye level or when the boom is extended. When making turns, slow down. With rear-wheel steer forklifts, turning makes the back of a forklift swing wide. When you turn, consider the front wheels as the pivot point. Slow down and watch your swing as you're turning a corner. If you have to deal with inclines and downgrades, always travel with the load facing uphill, and use another person to direct you if your vision is obstructed. Remember to drive on side grades carefully. If the machine you're using allows you to work on slopes, use caution and the frame leveling function, and never exceed the frame leveling capability of the machine. Always observe all traffic rules, warning signs, and overhead clearances. Follow at a safe distance, at least 3 vehicle lengths from other forklifts.
And always wear a safety belt.
Most rough terrain forklifts today operate with gas or diesel fuel. To prevent fires or explosions, always be cautious of your surroundings. Keep away from open flames and hot work, and make sure oil or fuel spills are cleaned up right away. When loading scaffolding, move slowly and smoothly. Never exceed the designed weight capacity of the scaffold, and be careful to balance the load on the planking. When the boom is extended, remember that the farther out the boom is, the more unstable the vehicle. Never exceed the manufacturer's load requirements. When stopping, apply brake pressure evenly and come to a gradual stop. Slamming on the brakes can tip the load.
You also need to take your time and use caution when putting down a load.
Square up, stopping about 1 foot away. Level the forks, then drive the rest of the way in. Lower the load. Tilt the forks slightly forward. Look over both shoulders, then back straight out until the forks have cleared.
When setting down loads in high areas, be especially careful when retracting the forks. Jerking the load could unbalance the material, causing it to fall on people or the ground below. And it could damage the scaffold, causing it to collapse and injure those on or around it.
So go slow and do it right. Raise and retract the boom to slide the forks out a bit at a time. And always lower the boom before driving away. Remember, you should never drive the machine with the forks above eye level. If you're stacking materials to save space, make sure you stack on a pile that's stable and can support the weight you're putting on top. Again, the higher you lift, the more unstable the forklift gets. Sometimes you may have difficulty getting the forks back out, especially when the boom is as high and as extended as possible. To extract the forks safely, raise the boom back up while moving the extensions in. Doing these at the same time helps move the forks horizontally rearward and away from the load. If your machine is equipped with a transfer cage, move the transfer cage forward, lower the load to the surface, and then pull the transfer cage rearward to extract the forks. When you park a forklift, try to choose a safe, level space. Always lower the forks to the ground so no one walks into them. Whenever you get off the machine, move the controls to neutral, set the brakes, turn off the motor, and remove the key. If you're on an incline, block the wheels.
Working on a construction site is like working in the middle of a busy intersection, only there are no traffic signals to help you get through. Be aware of what everybody else is doing. Be observant and give the right of way. And be sure you understand how a forklift works before you operate one. Know how to inspect it, how to operate it safely. There are a lot of people depending on your good judgment.